Pollution's history, poorly done. If you look back to the history of America, America and pollution, when we started to learn, when it became public and known and well publicized, leads back almost directly to an incident called Love Canal. It was published and posted across America because of the risks of it. This is old. This was before my times when we knew about this possible of pollution, the harms of pollution, and spreading it everywhere and ignoring it and not taking care of it. We learned a very hard lesson in Love Canal when most chemical plants and facilities were up along the East Coast. New Jersey was filled with these. You can go find the pollution tails and the leftover hazardous waste cleanup sites managed by 3 or 5 different departments in each state, depending on what level and what type of pollution it is. There's radioactive, there's chemical pollution, there is elemental pollution where leachates and things are polluting groundwaters. These things we know of. I've been in the middle of some of the most advanced sciences measuring these things for our aquifers across the planet. A minor player got to witness something of amazement inside Exxon Production Research and how technology and science and engineering works to map the globe itself that we ride on. It's rather amazing, rather impressive if you can take the time and have an opportunity to experience. So I was privileged. People let me in these doors, in part because I had something that they needed. So we worked together. We were peers as I came in and out of labs and foundries and manufacturing facilities that did ultra high purity elemental analysis because pollution, poison, things that kill you. This is what we do and we know about very well. There's large institutions guiding this stuff. So yes, we know about this. But going back to this Love Canal, out of this came the EPA under Nixon's administration because we realized we were killing the population of America. We were sterilizing the population of America. We were making America dumb with leads and mercuries being released into the environment. This is back in the 50s and 60s we discovered this. We discovered that DDT stored in steel drums leaches into groundwater and can contaminate a town's drinking water supply because of poorly stored drums in a military base just off in a corner of the woods that few people paid attention to. Also happened to be next to a rather large milk dairy that in the good old days when they used to deliver milk to your house, this was one of the farms that did that. This is the history of pollution. So what came out of Love Canal and EPA? The largest move of industries on the planet. They were given massive tax incentives and write-offs, and they picked up and they moved not only to southern states that were less understanding, less educated in how pollution works and what it does. These facilities and plants were moved offshore in the thousands, tiny little buildings from AC Delco that produced spark plugs, brake pads, other car parts off in the middle of nowhere that used machines that needed cooling and cutting fuel, cutting oils and things like that that leached out into the soils near them. Those pollution sites are still around. You can go find them. They're on the list. A lot of them have been closed as safe, quote, but they're out there. This is what we learned from Love Canal. This was the most massive undertaking. The EPA was staffed up and we started studying this. And these plants moved. In that moved, every one of them upgraded their facilities. They went to the latest and greatest whiz-bang tech because what they had been running in the East Coast was already 40-year-old technology. It was dated. It was too expensive to upgrade in place. And now the ground around was polluted and the cost of touching that. So they just abandoned these facilities. These corporations abandoned these facilities and ran off to Texas. Or, more telling, it got offshored. This is what we did with China. China built up China based upon being the supply chain for Walmart. We moved all of this, all of our jobs, we moved overseas to 15 cents an hour labor from our $5 an hour labor at the time, or $3 an hour labor. moved countries where it was cheaper to use a person than use a robot. That's just a fact of engineering. I could take you on a tour and show you the fact of engineering. Poor countries don't get robots because a person's cheaper. These are throwaway manufacturing jobs. They might last 2 years, they might last 10 years. Because that's the rewards, the profit motive for corporations. It's profit. It's not about building society or community. It's about profits and how they can get them and keep them. So, this EPA move, you can go back and map almost every chemical company's exit from the East Coast. They're abandoning massive waste facilities. The companies that didn't, we could point to, and they could be chastised, and their pollution footprint is still there. On the other side, they didn't move for whatever. Maybe they weren't paid enough, or they realized that they need to do business better. Who knows how this works? So there should be somebody doing this. The EPA, I mentioned, their job is critical, important. But what we did was we moved the pollution to another nation. Massive manufacturing plants that employed thousands of people got moved to another country. The pollution got moved. Pollution doesn't know borders. It has no idea of borders. So this one's too long. Rambled on the topic. But this moving pollution, you see, inside of that, like I mentioned, when these corporations had to move, they upgraded the shit out of everything because it made financial sense. They got tax write-offs, and the states, even the countries they left, are left with the waste, the decades of waste, the leaching groundwater, the soiled groundwater. The EPA should be monitoring groundwater across the nation and reporting on it. And the rules for the reporting we should discuss because they're broken. They cannot legally look and report on things because legal? Well, this one was too long again. I don't know what we're going to do about it, but don't give up.